Howdy Facebook, this is Cody Foster here with the Rust Deer Plant, and we wanted to talk to you today about a very controversial subject. We want to talk about shot placement on your animal. Now, my dad, your dad, probably you included, always talked about aiming right behind the shoulder of an animal. Now, this is a completely ethical spot to aim at a deer. There's nothing wrong with that. But I want to encourage everybody to think a little bit outside the box on where you're aiming at your animal, especially with archery equipment. Now, for instance, if you aim right here, notice on this animal here that his opposite leg is back. So if you aim right here, your arrow or your bullet's going to go in right here, ideally, and strike the offside shoulder of the animal. Now, this is an ethical kill, and it'll bring the animal down pretty quick. However, there's not a lot of margin for error here. For one thing, if you miss just a little bit to the right, you're going to hit this shoulder blade. And not only are you going to ruin the opposite shoulder, but you're also going to ruin the front side shoulder. So, you're losing 30 to 50 pounds of meat right there if you ruin both of these shoulders. Plus, with archery equipment especially, you're not going to get as much penetration through this shoulder blade as what you would get, say, if you aimed right in here. If you aim right in here, you've got a lot bigger margin for error. So if you aim right here and you miss 4 inches to the right, you're going to be right in here where your dad and your grandpa told you to aim. If you miss 4 inches to the left, you're going to catch the back of the lungs and the liver, and still a quick kill and an ethical kill on the animal. High or low, anywhere, you're still fine with heart, lungs, liver, top of the lungs, any of that stuff is still going to bring the animal down. Now, and this saves the most meat. All you're missing is a pound or two of meat that we're going to carve out of the ribs that's normally made for scraps, jerky, burgers, stuff like that. So you're not going to lose any meat. Now, a lot of people with a rifle say, well, I just shoot them in the neck. And that's great if you can hit them right here every time. But remember, this is a live animal that's going to be moving, especially if it's at a feeder. Its senses are going to be extra heightened, and it's going to be jumpy. So while I understand you may be able to hit a spot this big on a target at 100 yards every time on a bench, that's not always practical when you're out in the woods. Sometimes you're going to be in the deer stand, you're not going to have a rear rest, animal's going to be moving, feeding, extra alert, so all this stuff changes when you're out there in the woods. So yes, if you hit an animal right there, it's going to go down immediately, and you're not going to lose hardly any meat, just a little bit of meat around the impact on the neck. Nothing wrong with that at all, but there's not much margin for error. A lot of people say, well, I just shoot them in the head, and that's great if you hit one right there. Now this deer's head here is about 4 times the size of a real deer's head. So what if you aim right here and the deer moves, or heaven forbid you're not as good of a shot as you really think you are, and you hit it right here? Well, now this animal doesn't have a bottom jaw, can't eat, lives for weeks, and dies a horrible death, and nobody wants that. So what we want to encourage is for people to aim right here at the middle of the lungs or the back of the lungs, and don't push your animal. Give it time to expire and to die. A shot in the lungs, I recommend at least half an hour to let that animal expire. If you go in there and that animal's not expired yet and you push it from where it's bedded down at, you just made your job a lot harder, made your meat worse, and you're going to get less meat out of the animal. Now, let's say you shoot the animal from the liver back. I recommend letting that animal lie for at least 4 hours. 99% of the time, when you hit an animal back of the liver, it will bed down within 100 yards of where you hit it at and will expire in that spot. If you don't go in there and push it before it expires to another bedding location, because then it can run for miles. We've all heard those horror stories, and nobody wants that. There's always stuff that you can't control also. Say you let it lie for 4 hours and a group of coyotes comes in and pushes the deer from its bedding area, then you're going to have a long night or two or days of tracking with the dog or who knows what else. But your greatest chance of success on your animal is to aim right here at the center or the back of the lungs. Double lunging, deer goes down a lot of times in sight, and you get to recover your animal and get to keep the most of your meat that way. We look forward to seeing you at Russ Deer Plant. Thank you and happy hunting to you.